Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha. Still a gloomy morning here, another gloomy morning here. So today I'm actually going to do 3 tracks, but I'll space them out like 6 hours and stuff so I don't, just clutter the browser and the features and my blah blah blah. Anyhow, today I'm fulfilling the trifecta of singer Maynard Keenan. And I'm here with, I guess, his third band, or the third for me that I've never heard of. It's a band called Puscifer. I'm kidding. Everybody was ready to go, dislike, you went on a... It's Puscifer. I actually looked up the name and listened to it first before. This is the song The Remedy. The whole trajectory from me starting off this Reacts thing did start with Tool, and it's a little bit of a deeper dive. So when I cycle back into it, it's because I myself has fallen into what everyone calls the rabbit hole. So I look forward to this. I was really blown away with the Perfect Circle performance, and because it showed a whole completely different side. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be surprised here. Don't know what to expect. So let's get rock and rolling. First, I want to thank so many people have dropped a couple bucks for a cup of coffee, because you know that my channel's not monetized. If you see advertising, it's copyright claims from the publisher of the song, so they can make money. And also, people still ask about these headsets, AKG 240, the link is below. And there'll also be a link for this video and for Puscifer on Spotify and then CDs and stuff also below. So what I do, and I also try to support it as well. All right, let's do this thing. Puscifer, The Remedy. All right.
Reese's stitches, trolls receive 86 cents. Stick around if your house broken. Can't hold your shit or your tongue, you gotta go. Should you choose to react like an imposter, you in turn will be treated so. Yes, we're being condescending. Yes, that means we're talking down to you. With all that racket from your lips are flapping, we assumed you didn't notice.
All right. Yes, totally pleasantly surprised here, without a doubt. I guess there is a female singer that joins him with it, or maybe it's one of the musicians might be female. I don't know. This is the first time I'm listening to the band, to this music, and I didn't research the band in of itself. First thing is that this, the mix of this song, probably the whole album, is a lot more intimate and a lot more in-your-face sounding. Not in-your-face in the type of like power, but the fact that the drums are really present, and it feels like it is right in front of you. It's not an added ambiance of long delays or plates or anything that adds kind of a spacious sound to it. Definitely not afraid of doing layers here. I'm hearing some piano work that have offset pads to it. I also did hear some long sustained pads in the back during the hook. The bass player, once again, completely different, sure, bass player, but it's a completely different mixing and the way, the sonic arrangement. In other words, changing the sounds. The very first set of bass lines that came in were very overdriven and powerful, and then he gets into the vocals, or as he gets into the vocals, he cleans up and dries up and really just becomes the the bass staple that we all know and love. Maynard's voice, obviously, compared to Tool, and then A Perfect Circle, then this one seems to be even more present. Like there's not a stretch where you have to lean in and say, what is he saying? I definitely can hear what he's saying. I love, right now, I love the kind of ebb and flow of what's happening. This sounds a little bit more, the songwriting is a little more purposeful, and what I mean from that is that, you know, you have your intro, you have your verse, and then you have your hook, and then you slip back into, sometimes you do a turnaround, and then sometimes you get yourself back into a second verse and the hook out. But I'm only a minute and a half into a 6-minute song, so this is killer. The musicianship, remember, I've gotten to a place where I don't necessarily, you know, glam on the musicianship, because at this particular level, unless it's instrumental or unless it's extremely progressive, articulate, counter rhythm, polyrhythm kind of writing, we all know that these guys are all great. Plus, I don't know their names. I don't want to disrespect by just saying anymore like I used to. The guitar player, the bass player, get to know who they are a little more. All right, I'm going to go back a little bit. Let's continue the journey. All right.
We assumed you didn't notice. Haters, isolators, no one misses these. Bitches, racist stitches, trolls receive 86s. Yes, we're being condescending. Yes, that means we're talking down to you. With all that racket from your lips are flapping, we assumed you didn't notice. Haters, isolators, no one misses these. Bitches, receive stitches, trolls receive 86s. You speak like someone who has never been smacked in the fucking mouth. That's okay, we have the remedy. You speak like someone who has never been knocked the fuck out. But we have your remedy.
All right, this other stop here, I'm going to bring a little more light to the composition decisions and the arrangement decisions here, for me, are very complex. Excuse me, and I know it seems like they're kind of they're doing, the verse hook thing, but in each verse, they supplement or add or take away elements that give you a new journey per verse. Not perverse, a perverse journey, but per verse. The second verse, if I recall, because remember, I'm doing this on the fly. I'm an old composer, I'm a decomposer, so I try to remember everything I possibly can. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed with such cool things I forget. The second verse was a lot more of the synth keyboard arrangements took over, with flavoring of the guitars. Now, of course, the bass player, again, if you listen to the bass, boy, does that guy have a job. He is really the driving force next to the drums, and he's really up there in the mix. You can hear the nuances of the strings and how he's playing the strings, and a little bit of the rattle and the fret noise. That's such an important part of the bass if you're going to give it this kind of strength. And with the vocals, also, they're not afraid to utilize different techniques in affecting the vocals in the mix. You know how I am, I'm a stereo freak. That's why I also listen to everything in cans, is so that I can enjoy the engineering and those decisions that are made to take a voice that is, in most cases, in almost all the songs, is right down the middle. But we have the option of affecting it to split it. Sometimes they use what's called a doubler plug-in or something like that, or sometimes they'll record the same exact thing 3 times in a row and kind of roll it up here. When the ladies sing, when the girls singing, they have her really hard left and right, really, really super pretty, beautiful tone in her voice that really adds to it. And of course, when Keenan also, when Maynard, oh, I did say Maynard, sorry. Sorry. Wait, control yourself. Don't hit that dislike. When Maynard does what he does too, there's just slight doubling effect on it. Now, this other verse that came up, they pulled all the way back on any of the keyboard arrangements, and the bass player was just taking it all to town. There's just, I love the way he was just laying it down, keeping it in the pocket. And the drum sounds too, really quick. I'm going to circle back into the drum sounds. This is one of those kind of mixes because there's not a lot of ambience on it, or it seems like he's got a small kit. It sounds like he has a small kit. I haven't heard any of the Danny style. It sounds like it's very contained and very much, what's the word I'm looking for? Very intimate in his kit. But the tom-tom sounds are so perfect. The engineering of the tom-toms and the kick and the snare is in a place where you can give it a little nudge of power in the front without sounding like it's overwhelming. And then with that heavy bass line also up in your face, that's why it feels in the headsets, in the performance, it is right here in your face. So I wanted to go back into that. And also, once again, the bass player, again, really having to take a bit of the crunch or the power into the hook. Like he kicks in a distortion, and now his bass line becomes that, while the guitar playing becomes a whole different set of arrangements and a whole different a life on its own with its arrangement. But if you really listen to it, for me, I'm drawn into the middle section. I'm drawn into the drums and the percussion. The melody is soaring. I like everything is just kind of glides and stuff like that. I'd have to go around in the second round, a couple more rounds to really soak into some of the other nuances, but that's what I'm focused on this stop. So it looks like we only have a couple more minutes left, and we'll go back a bit and we'll get out of here, and then I'll close it up. All right.
Knock the fuck out, but we have your remedy.
was such a cool ending. Let me tell you what I love about that last passage we just heard before it just ended. So they go into this passage of just this light keyboard work, but I heard this really nice kind of like mini moogie kind of old synthy sound, kind of just sprinkle a little bit of a buzz into this section here of my head here. And this kind of wow. These are little nuances that really are sensitive in the arrangement, because you can overdo it. You can fall in love with the sound, and if you're a musician or you've been an engineer working with a band that falls in love with the sound, sometimes you really want to, really egg it on in the mix. Real super subtle. The girl's voice is perfect for this. And once again, I don't know if she's part of the band or not, and I'm sure I count on your comments, so please be kind, okay? And then what they did is they built these arrangements. These arrangements started off with the slow little chill playing with a little bit of the softness where she's kind of setting the arrangement. And then the next layer comes in, and then the next layer comes in, and then finally finishes with Maynard's voice, and then out. So actually it's the same arrangement pattern pretty much, and then they add another layer, and another layer, and another layer as they build you to the end of the journey. And once again, to me, Maynard showed a different side of his voice, though now at this point that I've heard Tool, A Perfect Circle, and now Puscifer, he's still Maynard. There's going to be elements that he's going to pull through in performances that are going to be recognized in each one of these projects. But the melodic and the rhythmical arrangement of his melody combined with his voice is what makes the magic that is Maynard. And I think we can all agree with that. So anyhow, listen, thank you so much. You guys are really kind. I know sometimes I say the band names wrong, and sometimes, some people disagree with how I do what I do. But I do appreciate you guys hanging out, and I do appreciate, you guys have been dropping these little tips for me, and that's been super cool beans. And also, if you do drop a couple, dollars on me, it also helps me out with what I do with the kids and the puppets, because now that I can't visit hospitals because of COVID, I'm doing things to try to get them content and free this, that, and the other thing kind of stuff. So anyhow, thank you very much. I got a couple more tracks coming up, and yeah, you know how I end this. All right, later.